Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Lauren, and today we have Adam and Katie on the show who are selling an Amazon FBA business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Adam and Katie, welcome to the show. How are you both doing today?
Good. It's good to be here.
Doing
good to
great.
be talking. Yeah.
Thanks, Lauren.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. It looks like you have a really interesting business on your hands, so I can't wait to learn more about it. But before we dive in, I'm going to give the listeners a brief overview of the business so that they have a better idea of what we're talking about. As I mentioned, this is an Amazon FBA business. It was created in August 2017, and it's in the occasions and gifts and home niches. The average revenue for this business is $210,515 per month, and it makes an average of $74,310 per month in net profit. The assets included with the business are an Amazon Seller Central account with 6 SKUs, a domain including all site content and files, 301 redirects, supplier relationships, a Shopify account, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest social media accounts, as well as trademarks. Please note that inventory is not normally included in the list price, but further details can be provided to verified buyers. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 64723 to learn more about this business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So now that we're all on the same page about the business, let's hear from the sellers. Adam and Katie, can you fill us in on your background in starting and running online businesses?
Sure. So a number of years ago, I was working for Katie's dad, my wife's father, and he has a small business, which is also a manufacturing business. And I learned a lot from working in that small environment to see like how a small business operates and how Amazon operates and what it's like to work with vendors, find vendors, and get products to market. So with the experience that I had working with him, I launched my very first product. And then just with a couple $100 from our own family savings account, I was able to launch that business and then slowly grow that and just keep reinvesting and rolling those funds into future products to the point where we are today, where we have 4 employees, including my wife and myself, and no signs of slowing down.
Well, that's fantastic to hear. It's good that you've managed to build on that success, as you say, with just a couple of $100. When you were looking for a business to start, what attracted you to the Amazon FBA business model over other e-commerce platforms?
One of the things, as I was working for my wife's dad, I was able to see and kind of compare like what sales they had on Shopify versus on Amazon. And Amazon just kind of blew the other channels out of the water. And so it just made sense. That's where the shoppers are. I love Amazon as a customer, and it just made sense to make that the number one platform for us.
Yeah, it certainly is the most streamlined and easiest, most user-friendly platform, I would say, especially for first-time business owners. When you were looking for a product to sell, what made you hone in on these particular products?
Yeah, so the business that we have listed for sale isn't our first product, was not our first business. What happened really is just that as we developed the business that we have listed, it overtook our initial business. So at that time, it made sense for us to focus more on the thing that was growing exponentially. I still have that first business. It's still up and running. It's something near and dear to my heart. But our current business, the one that's listed, just became more successful than we could have dreamed of. So we kept focusing more on growing that one.
Yeah, definitely a great position to be in. And what made you choose this particular niche to operate within? Did you do any research before selecting it?
I think in this case, it was something, sometimes I hate the term, it fell into my lap, but that's sort of what happened. It started off just as like this, niche product, a gift item mainly. And as we saw, oh, wow, people really like this. And they think this is a fun gift. And it does really well at holidays. We just kept focusing more and more on growing it, kind of being like faithful to the growth that this product line was showing, I think it would have been foolish to ignore how well it was doing. So it's something that I'd say maybe took a life of its own, but we were faithful to grow it, to respond, and to make sure that we were continually offering a good and high quality product to meet the demand that was growing.
Yeah, that's great. It's always a good feeling to get such a positive response from consumers. As you say, this business has experienced a lot of success. You've come a long way with it. What are the reasons you decided to sell the business now?
I think for us, it's something that we've been working on for around 4 or 5 years. It's only been the past about 3 years that it's really taken off so big for us. Because we're a company that innovates and launches new products, we'd like to be able to sell this one, freeing us up to focus more on some other brands that we're launching right now. It would make sense for us, for our own portfolio and our own career as inventors, to see what the process is like of letting this one go, of cashing out of this one, and then moving on, freeing up our minds and our time to grow some new brands and hopefully be able to exit out of those someday too.
Yeah, definitely a very exciting process, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you come up with next. So, a lot of businesses, they have their ups and downs. That's always a bit of a roller coaster. What would you say was your biggest win or success since starting this business?
I really think the biggest win and the most memorable experience was when my wife and I got to be on Shark Tank. It's a show that I had watched over the years, and it was interesting. I'd always get this kind of knot in my stomach when I'd watch that show because I thought, you know what? I think I could do that. I think I could be on there someday. And then the opportunity came where we did that. So that was by far for us just the most amazing achievement or personal experience related to the current business.
Wow, yeah, that's incredible. That must have been such an amazing experience. Definitely one for the books. I'm sure not everything was as amazing as that. Were there any setbacks or challenges that you had to overcome?
No, everything's been perfect the entire time. Next question. No. I think the challenge for us, and I think other companies that work with Amazon or do FBA, they understand this. It doesn't always feel like an equal playing field on Amazon. We've always tried to do everything by the books and as best we can. But there's been times where we've had to work with, submitting multiple case logs to try to get a problem resolved, or not being able to make the kind of progress or the kind of changes that we want. So I think it's just nothing specific or unique to our business, but just that struggle of being a small fish in a huge pond, dealing with Amazon and trying to figure out, like, how do we make this work so that it's successful for both sides of the coin.
Yeah, it can definitely be a struggle when you're watching those, as you say, those big fish. It does feel like you have your hands tied behind your back sometimes. But it's great that you were able to overcome a lot of those challenges. When it comes to driving traffic to your products, are you using PPC campaigns or listing description SEO to help boost that traffic?
Yeah, we do use PPC campaigns. Those have gone really fairly well for us. We've done optimizations on the listing over the years whenever it makes sense to do that. And I think that has helped. But we mainly sell organically, which I think is just really amazing, especially around the holiday season when our traffic picks up even more. Our organic sales blow our campaigns kind of out of the water. Because we're offering a product line that people are looking for and that they want, I really feel like it's taken on a life of its own and gone really well.
Yeah, that's great. There's not a lot of Amazon FBA brands who can drive that much organic traffic. So it's great that your products are able to stand out and really attract consumers in that way. You've got quite a few social media accounts associated with the business as well. Do you do any marketing on those platforms, and do they help to drive traffic back to your listings?
Although we have the social media accounts, we haven't done much with those. I think because we're just a really small team, it's something that's been left to the wayside a bit. So if there's another company out there that has stronger abilities with social media or even with social media marketing, I think that's an opportunity for growth for this product line. But we haven't done too much with that. We've mainly just focused on staying in stock, doing well on Amazon, and growing like that.
Following on from that same train of thought, what do you see as the major opportunities for growth with this business?
There are a couple other products that could be launched. It's something that we're going to continue to work on ourselves. But if the company that would buy ours is interested in developing more products, that's something that we could help out with or talk about. We are exploring some retail placements just to see if that's something that would be a good fit for this. It might not, but we're looking at it. Still, Amazon's like the bread and butter. What else, Katie? Was there other?
Well, we do have a pending on a slightly different version of the shell, what's on the inside. So we do have that opportunity to take that patent pending. We see no problem with it getting approved eventually, pretty soon actually, and then carrying on with that. So
Yeah, that'll be great. That's a good way to sort of keep competitors at bay, maintain the integrity of your product. You've got quite a streamlined product offering. Can you walk me through what your supply chain looks like, from where your suppliers are based, how many suppliers you have, and then how the inventory makes its way to Amazon?
Yeah. So the supplier we're with right now is not the one that I started out with. I feel like our first supplier, there was a time and place for them. And then we were able to move to a different supplier that's been even more reliable and had better pricing for us. So the products are made in China, and I'll submit a purchase order. At this point, we haven't had to tweak the product or make any changes with it. We're able to just directly reorder. The first couple of years, every time we would place a PO, there'd be like, let's change a couple things, work on a couple details. But really, it's at a place where it's polished and it doesn't need that now. So we'll place our POs, and there's been times in the past where I've had to fly inventory over to make sure that it's here on time. Of course, that's really expensive. But this last year, we were able to ship by sea. And even with global supply chain issues, we were still able to get product, I want to say in about a 4-month average, like from PO placed to getting it to our door. So we do receive everything to our warehouse, and we'll store overstock at our warehouse, and then we'll ship off to Amazon by the case or by the pallet.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like you've set up quite a well-oiled machine there. How often would you say that you place new orders with your suppliers?
It's really about twice a year. So for us, Father's Day is kind of our Christmas in June. And then, of course, our Christmas season is big too. So it's really about twice a year that we're ordering products, some for Father's Day, and then a lot more to prep for the Christmas season.
Yeah, that's great. And I suppose having that warehouse limits the amount of times you have to order as well, because you're storing, as you said, a lot of the inventory there and then just drip feeding to Amazon. Am I right?
Yeah. And I think that my business has expanded its footprint twice over in this last year. We've expanded once, but we've doubled our space. But I think from this point, if I needed to expand again, I would use Amazon's like upstream logistics so that I don't have to expand my warehouse or my rent anymore, and just use their systems that are in place.
Yeah, I think that's a very clever way to go about it. Have you experienced any restrictions when it comes to storage limits at Amazon?
Yeah, storage limits is something that we deal with and have in the past because our item is quite seasonal. Like Christmas is the big season. The inventory limits haven't always kept pace with what we know we're going to sell and what we have projected to sell. So there have been times like this last Christmas, we kept Amazon fully stocked. And as we sold product, we would send out more cases just to make sure we were going to have the best Christmas we could. Our inventory limits right now are really large, and I know that Amazon's changing how inventory limits work, and they're trying to make that better so that it scales with the businesses. Despite the restrictions that Amazon has had on our inventory, we've still been able to meet demand, and even this last Christmas, not sell out of inventory, but have enough there to meet demand and then some.
Yeah, it's great that you were able to avoid those stock out penalties. Definitely it keeps the ball rolling and keeps that traction going. You mentioned earlier that you have a team of 4 employees. Can you expand on that and run us through what the team does and the different roles they have?
Yeah, so one of our employees mainly works on one of our product lines that's not for sale and not included in the sale. So she does some packaging and assembly for some of our other product lines. Another gal that we have employed, she is around about 10 or 12 hours a week and does customer service for us, keeps us in stock in the warehouse, does reordering. But that's, again, she mainly does work for this other product line. The product line we have for sale is really pretty simple and straightforward and doesn't take hardly any customer service. Because the orders are big twice a year, it's not that she has like daily needs of babysitting it. So that's our second employee. And then my wife and I would be the other employees, just keeping things operating. I say Katie keeps the wheels on. She kind of keeps the wheels on the business, and I'm more the creative force. Sometimes trying to drive off the road. No. I've got a really good team with me to do that. So one of the roles that our gal that does the shipping and receiving, she keeps an eye on our intellectual property and does any reporting if there's any infringements on that. So that's something that's related. But Really, it's pretty easy business model, pretty straightforward, and doesn't require a whole lot of input and babysitting, as I call it.
How much time would you say on average that you spend on the business per week as the owners?
Not too much, I guess, honestly. Probably just like a couple hours a week. Of course, it gets busier during Christmas season where there's more decisions that need to be made about keeping Amazon's inventory stocked and making sure all the listings are polished up and ready to go. But it's something that can, if the inventory's there, I hate to say it runs itself, but it's pretty close to that.
Yeah, that's fantastic that you're able to, given the volume of products that you sell, that you're able to bring it down to such a passive business. I think that's really wonderful. You mentioned that some of your employees work on your other brands as well. Are they available to continue working with the buyer of this business?
Yeah, I think they would. We'd have to see what the buyer thinks they would need support or help with. But for us, this is a product line that I've conceived myself and grown very personally over the years. So it's not something where I just say, okay, I'm washing my hands of this and we're done, we're walking away. We're willing and able to continue to advise or help, or if it becomes evident that there's a need for us to stay on in some capacity, then we are willing to look at that and talk about that.
Yeah, that's great. I think that'll definitely be a huge help. Given everything we discussed, how streamlined the business is and how passive you've managed to make it, what do you think the biggest challenge will be for the buyer when they do take over the business?
Oh, that's a good question. Let's see. I really think that the biggest challenge is something that's not unique to us, and it's just working with Amazon, just staying abreast of whatever policy changes are coming down the line. I think the seasonality of our product is something of note, so just being able to play that game well. But really, yeah, there's not these specific huge hurdles that we have with this, so I think it's just maintaining the relationship with Amazon and keeping FBA strong.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as Amazon is happy, the sellers are happy.
Amazon's the best in the world at keeping the customers happy. But I think a lot of sellers would know and would agree that they're not always keeping us happy as sellers. Everyone's trying to do their best.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely more of a strained relationship. I know you touched on this earlier, but can you break down how much support you're willing to offer the buyer?
Yeah, I think it's completely reasonable that we can offer 6 months of support, of help, of the transition, answering questions, that type of thing. I've also heard that there's situations where an inventor continue to invent and have a relationship with a company where they continue to innovate products and launch products that company takes and runs with too. So because we are always innovating and coming up with new ideas, if the buyer has that type of interest of adding another creative force kind of to their portfolio, that's something I'm interested in too and could negotiate.
Yeah, that's a great idea. It benefits both parties. So win-win situation. When it comes down to the nitty-gritty of the sale, would you be open to negotiating something like an earn-out agreement?
Yeah, we are open to that idea. I think, of course, for us as a seller, we'd say, let's just cash out as high as we can up front. I know that that's not always realistic. So exploring an earnout is something that we'd be open to.
Fantastic. And then would you commit to a non-compete agreement?
Yes, we can do that. Yeah. We continue to launch products and brands, but they're not in the same space. It's not in an overlapping space as the product line that we're selling now.
Fantastic. Well, Adam and Katie, as people who have built multiple e-commerce businesses and you've had a lot of success in the space, I'm sure a lot of our listeners are thinking about starting a business of their own. So is there any advice that you would give to anyone listening that you wish you knew when you first started out?
I think that the advice, I'm going to change a quote that's kind of been inspiring to me. And the quote is, just freaking do it. It's not word for word how that quote goes. But I think just trying it, it's okay to be scared or to be uncertain. But I think the important thing is just to keep moving forward. Where there's a will, there's a way. Just keep finding the answers that you need and just be diligent and work on it. That's the only way to make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely. That's very true. A lot of people sort of don't get started because it's not going to be perfect right away. But as you say, you just have to do it. It's the best way to really get things going.
I'll share one more quote that I've got printed out to me. And it says, there is no secret to success. The formula is get to work, keep working, and don't stop until the job is done. So I like that. It kind of takes some of the mystery and some of the this is something that only certain people can do. It's not. It just takes working at it and working hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that. There is no secret sauce. You just have to give it a shot and see what happens.
Yeah.
Well, that leads us into the final question of the interview. the one that everyone's been waiting for. So if you had to put yourself into the shoes of a buyer, why do you think your business is a business worth buying?
I think it's worth buying because it's going to be a product line that's going to continue to make people laugh, to be in demand. Honestly, what we're selling is an experience. What we have for sale isn't just a product or a product line. What we're selling is that moment around the Christmas tree or a birthday gift being opened. Without going into too much detail, the recipient is getting a funny gift that kind of sends a message, but the giver of the gift, I think, is the one that gets the biggest kick out of it. And I think that's why we've been successful, is that we're selling a fun moment when this product is opened by the recipient. That's mainly why I have confidence to believe that it's going to continue to be good and be successful. One reason that we're selling it is, for us, we want to diversify our income streams. And people might wonder, well, hey, if the business is so great, why not just hold on to it and keep going? We may do that. I mean, if we're not able to find a suitable situation, then we are going to keep running this business, and we'll do well with it. But for us, we want to diversify. But I think it makes sense for a bigger company to buy this because it's got the potential to continue to grow exponentially. And for a company that has multiple FBA businesses running, for them, it's a lower risk to add another business to their portfolio. Whereas for us, it's such a big part of our portfolio. Maybe someday we'll be on the other side of the table and we'll be looking for businesses to buy and diversify ourselves. But for us, we've taken this company really far and it's been an incredible ride. And we want to get this experience to see what it's like to sell and move on like that. Yeah, I've got nothing but hope and good vibes moving forward, and for the buyer too.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. As you say, a product like this that has some sort of emotional pull is always going to be a lot more memorable for the buyers and keep people coming back. And I think that's a very powerful thing. Is there anything else that you would like to share with our listeners before we finish up that I might have missed?
Nothing that comes to mind. Just Katie and I are excited to be doing this and excited to talk with buyers. And we're here, we're available and open to answering any questions that anyone may have.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Adam and Katie, for coming onto the show and sharing your journey with this business. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I really enjoyed this conversation.
Great, Lauren, likewise. Thank you for doing what you do, and hope to see you again.
Wonderful. All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 64723. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you will be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.